right, Mary. He doesn't need an introduction, but I was thinking along the theme of a gift to the world. I think Harry clearly has been our gift from Australia. He has brought a lot of joy into our lives. I should tease him a little bit. I wonder whether he's remembered his presentation today. He does have a little trouble once in a while with misplacing things, which my wife says is something that happens with 16-year-olds occasionally. No, maybe some of us, the rest of us too. But without further ado, and again, let me just have all of Harry's extended family stand up. Come on, everybody, there, so you can just see he's got quite a. So Harry, come and give it to us.
93 slides. So hopefully we're going to get through the whole thing. So if anyone has any questions or any funny stories to share, just shout it out. Don't wait till the end because there might not be an end. But it's really weird to think that 10 months ago I was giving my first presentation out here and kind of stammering everything out. And I ended up doing a pretty good job, I think. And I think you guys enjoyed it. And most of that came from you guys because I was kind of scared of public speaking beforehand. But thanks to all of you, I've really become a lot more comfortable with it. But before I came to Minnesota, I just told everyone I wanted to go to America, and I had no idea where I was going to go in America. I found out I was going to Minnesota. And beforehand, the only things I knew about Minnesota was that it was cold. I knew about Fargo. This is how my mum introduced me to Minnesota. So I knew about Fargo, I knew about cold and snow, and I knew about Prince. And I didn't really know who Prince was. I just Googled him, and this came up. So it was an interesting experience. But I remember coming through the gates of the Minneapolis airport and going down the escalator and reading on my phone everybody's name so I didn't forget anything, and then I forgot it as soon as I got down to the bottom of the stairs. This is Robert and Virgil holding signs of me coming here, and if you look at the Minnesota, Robert spelt that wrong. If you click, this should play the video, hopefully. This is me coming out of the doors of the airport. There's no sound, but... Didn't really know what to do.
Hey, what's up?
So Robert hugged me, so I thought, okay, I'm going to hug everyone. I'm not joking. So yeah, I really get through everyone there, and that was a really fun experience coming down here. Everyone was really friendly about that. This might be a long video, so I might have to cut it short. Okay, yeah. And I drove home with the Petries, and I went to their house there, and it was snow, and I remember jumping in the snow on the way there and trying to pick it up and make a snowball with my bare hands, which was really cold, and I got wet, so I don't recommend that. And yeah, this is a picture of all of us then. I couldn't find a family picture from us at the very beginning of the year, but this is when we were traveling down to Charleston, and Virgil with his beloved selfie stick. And I remember the first day when I went to the Petries, they forced me to walk outside down to the bakery in this big, bright orange down jacket, which looked terrible, which is really warm, which I was thankful about. If you go to the next slide. This is me of all the girls that I met straight away. So I was kind of loving America by now. This is like my second day here when Robert took me to Rose's house, which is the girl right beside me, to her house to watch movies. And believe it or not, I was really quiet, really shy, which I've big change now, but back then I was like that. If you go to the next slide. Yeah, this is all of us waiting here in the winter, and then us falling off. Pardon? I am wearing pink. There's a filter on it, so it's not quite as hot pink as it is there. I'm American now. And this is school. They're not on here, but I just got a bunch of pictures of just hallways, because it's so weird walking inside rather than outside. But anyway, go back. I'm not there yet. That's the jacket I walked outside in. But I remember on the first day of school getting here, and I was still jet lagged because of the 26-hour flight. And I go to the nurse's office to like get checked up and everything, and I ended up having to leave school, and Shelley drove me all the way to the doctor's to get 2 shots, and then back to school again to start my school day. So that was a fun experience. If you go. And then later on, we went up to a cabin in Wisconsin, which is one of Virgil's friends, I believe, or family friend, which I thought was really awesome because the cabin was all pine, which I'd never seen before, and it smelled really cool in there. And you can kind of see the dog lying down, but they had 2 dogs which looked exactly like dingoes, which was pretty cool, except one of them kept growling at me, which wasn't as cool. And one of the great experiences here was, if you go to the next slide, they had a big open lake, which only a little bit of snow on, but I thought it was heaps of snow. And go to the next one as well. And that's Virgil. I thought I had a picture of the snowmobiling, but I don't. But we went around snowmobiling, and I rode with Virgil and a bunch of other people, and we got to 70 miles an hour, which is insane, which was really cool on those flats. And the people who owned the cabin, I rode with their daughter, and she was really great, but every time she turned, it would tip over. So you had to kind of balance on it, which was really scary, but fun. Go to the next one. This is the Sadie Hawkins dance, and that's Julia Sonneborg, which is Elisabetta's host sister. And she asked me to the dance like 3 or 4 weeks early because there was a massive lineup of girls waiting to ask me. And everyone knows it's a dress-up dance, so we were dressed up as Harry Potter because my name's Harry. You know, come on. If you go to the next one. This is all of us dressed up, and you can see my kind of bargain basement Harry Potter costume, which I got the day before at the thrift store. That ended up being a really fun night, and I got introduced to everyone there. And this was on Valentine's Day when I went with... I remember Valentine's Day. It was really funny when I was telling you guys about this because we had organized going out to Valentine's Day, and 2 girls were coming out to take me and Robert there. And when they came and knocked on the door in the morning, I went to wake Robert up, and he stayed asleep even though 2 girls were coming to take us out on Valentine's Day. But we ended up going to Minnehaha Falls, which was really fun and really pretty, but also really cold. This was the coldest I ever remember being this year. Just skip to the next photo. I look really pained in this photo. I swear I was having a great time, but my face is so frozen, I couldn't make myself smile. Okay, go to the next one. Robert did end up joining us the next day for ice skating, and I'm actually better at ice skating than Robert is, which is a cool story. Go to the next one. Yeah, and this is when we drove up to Ely. It was me, Robert, Virgil, Shelley, and Marcos, I believe, because Grace was still overseas in Germany, I believe. And that was really awesome. If you go to the next one. I remember going to Lake Superior, which was incredible because it was so huge. It reaches all the way to the horizon. And we walked around all the ice there, and they're like big open circles of water, which I think Robert accidentally put his foot in one of those, which was kind of cold, but it was really fun. Next one. And I remember stopping at the gun store, which was amazing. Like, every gun on that rack is illegal in Australia, which was really sweet. And this is us at the hotel pool. One of the cool things about Ely is at the hotel pool, it was nice and heated, which was awesome. And yeah, the whole point of going up to Ely was for dog sledding, which is really amazing. I recommend it to everyone. What picture I don't have in here is right behind us, there's like a big grid of 100 dog kennels and little circles around it where the dogs can run around. And as soon as you drive in, they'll all start barking, and they all start barking at the birds. And it's really loud, but it's really awesome seeing it. And they get really excited when you strap up to go. And when we let them go, they actually go pretty fast. If you go to the next one. It seems faster when you're on the sleigh. If you go to the next one. This is a picture of me and Robert. Were you sleeping in this photo? Because there's one of these photos where he's sleeping, and I took a selfie with him. Go to the next one. This is Robert lying in the snow. And this is I think this is from Robert's point of view, or mine, when one person sits on the actual sleigh and one person sits on the back, and they kind of steer it around, which is really awesome, and you take just turns doing that. And yeah, this is me all dressed up. You're actually completely waterproof because you have to put your foot in the snow. You get completely covered in snow. If you go to and this is inside the yurt, which is like a little house hut kind of thing. I had no idea what it was. When you ride up there, it's really warm on the inside there. It's actually really surprisingly warm. I actually sweated on the inside there. Except instead of sleeping in that, skip to the next one, we ended up sleeping out on the ice on the lake. Because Virgil said he wants to sleep in the lake. And of course, me and Robert are manly men, so we're going to do that as well. So we go out to sleep there, and Marcos doesn't want any of it because that's cold. And he likes the inside of the yurt. But we eventually convinced him to come out, and we sleep out there, which is really, really cool. And at the end, you see there's lots of clouds there, but at the nighttime they go away, and you can see all the stars because there's no light out there. Because this is up right by the Boundary Waters. But when I woke up in the morning, it was snowing, which I thought was really cool. But as soon as I sat up, the same thing happened to Robert. As soon as we sat up, all the snow fell inside our sleeping bag, which sucked because it all got all really wet and cold. Oh, yeah. We climbed up a hill and then we slid down the hill.
Again, no host mother.
No host mother involved in any of this stuff. Completely collapsed at the end. That was awesome. What you don't see is I almost hit my head on a tree branch right there, which is really good I didn't because my extension would be cut really short. Okay, skip to the next one. This is, I have barely any pictures of this trip, but we drove all the way down to Charleston, which is amazing, and we drove it in like 3 days, which is really incredible. But yeah, we went down and walked around the beaches. We stayed with Robert's grandmother, who I don't know her real name, but Robert calls her Gish, so I call her that too. That was a really, really fun trip, and I remember we kayaked a lot with alligators, which is really awesome, and I remember telling them how if I saw an alligator on the side of a pond, I would just like jump on it and catch it like Steve Owen. And it's about, after that time, I moved to Bob and Nancy's, and we were great people, and we did a lot of traveling with them. Yeah, this is the bike trip. I've got a list of places we went on this because we went to a lot of places. Yeah, first of all, I should say, Bob had to bring an entire van of stuff to bring all my stuff over to their place. There was so many boxes. I have no idea how I'm going to bring it all home. But yeah, pretty quickly, on the first day, as soon as I walked in there, he handed me a biking outfit. And we went 10 miles on the first day, I believe, which was actually really fun. And we were training for this big biking trip, which was up from, I forget what the river was called, but it was up from some river up to Duluth, and then from Duluth to Hoyt Lakes and over to Bemidji. It's an incredible trip, and I think it was about 345 miles, which was amazing. But Bob is a machine when he rides. Like, I consider myself pretty fit, but he's incredible. And this is up in Duluth, and a lot of these are in Duluth, which is a really fun ride. Yeah, this is in the summer, which is nice and warm. But yeah, it was really, okay. This was when I hadn't done washing in a while, so I was just wearing this shirt. This was later on when we didn't bike ride in this one, but we drove out west with Bob and Nancy to see Yellowstone, and actually I've got a list of all the places we saw. We saw Yellowstone, we saw the Grand Tetons, and we went up through the Dakotas and saw, I forget what they're called, but the big land masses in the Dakotas. Yeah, the Black Hills and all of that, and there was some cowboy museum, something like Buffalo Bill, that was it, which was really awesome coming around to all of this. And I remember going through Yellowstone, and we were driving through like a big herd of buffalo, and like Nancy was kind of scared, but I thought it was awesome because they were running around. If you go to the, yeah, I got these mixed up. This was back when we were biking. This was the hardest stretch of road. This was a good 66 miles, and the wind was so hard when you were going down the hills, you actually had to pedal down the hill to make it. And 1,500-foot climb, which is amazing. And this is when we finally got to Bemidji. And if Bob ever invites you on a bike ride, I'd definitely say do it because it's an incredible experience. But also recommend setting up like a support group afterwards because it's so painful. If you go, next one. Yeah, and this is us at this is me at the Grand Tetons, which is really incredible. The mountains are huge there. And this is the color run. This is, that's Rose, the girl who we went to see the movies with at the start. And that's Elizabeth, again, her host sister. And this was really amazing. It was a big 5K run, which we, of course, walked. But it was great. These were all white at the beginning. We got all this thrown at it, which was a lot of fun. And yeah, this is her and her family at the end. And I had you need the glasses because it gets in your eyes. And I was coughing the entire way, but it was a lot of fun. And then this is when I started to move to my third host family. I'm going to do this pretty quickly. Started to move to my third host family. And this is I think this is Prom or Homecoming. I forget which one it is. Yeah, it's Homecoming. But yeah, they're a really great family, and I remember, if you skip to the next one, they promised to teach me and Robert to swing dance for the homecoming, which they did, and if you go to the next one, we ended up doing it. And I remember at homecoming, Robert and his date Ellie, they swing danced, and everyone made a big circle around them, which is really amazing, because Robert's actually really good at it. And yeah, I took Julia to this dance, as well as Sadie's and Prom. This is all of us. Yeah, this is all of our people, I think. And this is me and Robert sitting on top of the climbing structure. Me and Robert like to climb around a lot. And yeah, this is us on top of a river. And this is prom. I took 3 girls to prom because I couldn't decide on one. I asked them all out on dairy cups. But yeah, this is really fun. So I had to like dance with all of them throughout the night. But that was a really cool experience. And prom is really amazing. Yeah, this is more prom pictures. And this is at the, I forget what it's called, but all the Bloomington teachers, all the Minnesota teachers get together and they have some conference. And for that conference, me, Robert, Virgil, and Shelley drove up to Duluth for a cabin condo kind of thing for the weekend, which is really pretty because it was in the middle of spring. MEA break, that's it, if any of you know what that is. We all know, okay. We climbed around, I think this is Gooseberry Falls. There's like a huge bridge there. This is one of the earlier photos. Robert ended up climbing up 4 of these little strut things, and he was ages off the ground. And if you look at this picture, right here is me and Robert sitting on the cliff. So yeah, me and Robert do like climbing around a lot, and it's kind of something we've done throughout the year. And yeah, we went to the Def Leppard concert, which was Def Leppard, Tesla, and Foreigner, right? Which is really cool, a big 80s hair band, which I had never experienced before. If you go to the next one. It was really amazing. That was a huge show. And I got a shirt with the whole finger thing and everyone there. A little bit big for me. It's a picture of all of us. And then this is us carving pumpkins with Maya and Julia for Halloween, which was a lot of fun. If you go to the next one, they try to convince us to eat it, which is disgusting. I don't like it at all. But the next one actually shows the pumpkins we made, which I think mine's pretty good. I think mine's my favorite out of all of those. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then, yeah, this is Halloween time. So they took us out to the Halloween mazes out at, where was it? Screamtown. It was out in Chaska, which is a while away. And they had they were huge actually, really big mazes set up in the farmland. And this is Annalisa, who's the other Italian exchange student who we invited, because I don't think Lisbetta could come for that. Yeah, she's scared. She's scared. But I think one of Mike's favorite stories to tell about us is we were like backed into a corner, and there's this guy dressed up as a clown with a chainsaw like backing us into the corner. And I was behind Mike, and I was really scared. So I like shoved Mike and the clown out of the way, and I booked it. And I left everyone behind there. If you go to the next one. This is Jabron and Shamaila, which are other 2 friends which came with us. And yeah, this is them with Predator, which is some guy who's dressed up and walking around. These pictures were taken while me and Michelle were inside a different maze, which you had to sign a waiver to get into because they could touch you and stuff like that. And Mike was way too scared for that, so he stayed outside. And if you go to and this is marching band. I played the bass guitar in the marching band, and which is you can't see me in these photos, but it was a lot of fun. Except I didn't learn a song for the entire season, which is pretty bad. But I had a lot of fun doing it because I needed to learn to march, which is my excuse for it. I kind of just pretended. This is after it. This is Julia. She's one of the drummers in there. And if you go to the next photo, this is the big drum circle where everyone from band makes a big circle and they do like drum solos in the middle and everyone like runs around. It's a lot of fun. It's a big casual thing. And we went to a bunch of football games, 2 football games. And that's Mike's jersey on, which I still got to give back to him. It's a little bit big for me, but it was a lot of fun. And if you go to the next one, yeah, you can see the football, and they're huge players. And I've never seen it in real life, which is great. I actually know how football works, kind of now. It's kind of just like rugby, but with a lot more safety gear. And this is all of us at the game. The next one has me in it, I think. Okay. I put this in here because I haven't talked much about Marcos because he left earlier in the year, but he was as much a brother to me as Robert was throughout the entire exchange. And he ended up getting a grant to go across to Belgium and Britain, I think, to study in school, which is actually exactly what I want to do. But he's been a really great guy to me throughout the entire year, so I thought I'd throw that in. And if you look at the shirt, School Minnesota Home, thanks to Shelley, which is really cute. And this is us. This is getting towards last week, so I hope I've got not much time left because this is getting towards the end. But this is when we went down to Las Vegas. We went to Las Vegas to the Grand Canyon to Durango. This is all of the kids in Durango, which is a really fun picture of us standing outside with the Christmas tree. And if you go to the next one, this is us at the Grand Canyon, which is a really cute picture. Grace isn't in it though. Maybe she's taking the picture. I'm not sure. Oh, she wasn't there. Whoopsie. My bad. Shows how much I remember. If you go to this was like 3 days ago. This is when we landed in Las Vegas, which was really fun. And we stayed in the Venetian Hotel, which was incredible. And I remember when we landed in Las Vegas, they had, in the airport, as soon as we landed, they have like little slot machines. And you're not supposed to go on the carpet. So me and Robert like loitered on the carpets. And Virgil gambled $1 and me and Robert pushed the thing down. So technically we broke 2 laws in Las Vegas. So that makes me much of a bad boy. If you go to the next one. This is more pictures of the Grand Canyon, which is really pretty. And I think Shelley thought the same thing. Before I got there, I thought it would just be like a big hole and like flat ground. But it's not. There's lots of like mini hills and stuff inside, which is really, really pretty. And it's so much bigger than you can imagine. These little cliffs down here, they had helicopters flying through those. So that you think there's like little crevices at the bottom because you're so far away, but there's actually big enough for like so many helicopters to fly through. If you go to the next one, this is more pictures of the cliffs of the Grand Canyon. And this is a picture of all of us in Durango. We stayed, this was the day after Thanksgiving, I think, when we went out for breakfast. We were a really great bunch of people, and Thanksgiving was really fun there because we had like 17 people. So I thought it was really American. And I don't know if this is the last picture. Okay, no, this is just pictures of Durango. And this is pictures of us before Thanksgiving. Oh, no, at Thanksgiving. This is where we're eating. And next one. And this is us in Durango sitting on the horses. It's probably artwork, but whatever. Also, we had to take senior pictures there because I didn't have any and they're due today. So if you go to the next one, I thought I'd get Rotary to help out. These are my 2 senior pictures. So which one do you guys think is the best one? The right one? That's also the one I thought was the best. The serious one? Yeah, this is my model face. This is the one I put on Facebook. I think I look the coolest in this one, but most people think the other ones are good. We should stop it there because how much time do we have left? Yeah. Actually, no, wait. We've got California. I haven't talked about California. I've been down to California twice this year, which is really amazing. We climbed up on a big rock here, and you can see all the bird poop at the top because that's where all the birds sat. If you go to the next one, it's a fairly big rock, but it's not a huge rock. And this is Orange County. It's a really nice area. And on the other side of the rock, I think the opening scene, okay. Me and Robert went there, and I couldn't find any this is the only picture I could find of me and Robert, which isn't the best photo, but I thought I'd put it in there anyway. This is us running down to the end of the pier, which was a really fun there. And the first time I went down there, I saw my grandmother, and I saw my uncle and my cousins, and it was really nice seeing her. And the second time I went down, I thought I'd invite Robert, because he lives in Minnesota, and it's about to be winter soon, so I thought I'd do him a solid and bring him down to the nice warm weather. And so that was really fun. And is there anything I've missed? Because there's so much stuff I've done this year, so I'm not sure I've got everything. Is there any other questions or anything?
You went to school too, right?
I went to school, right. Kinda. Elizabeth said she got like straight A's. I'm happy to say I passed most of my classes this trimester. My GPA has gone from a solid 2.5 to like a 3.3. So school's been a lot of fun, but that's mostly what it's been, fun, not school. That's been really great. But yeah, it's been a really fantastic year, I think. And I should come back here to check if I've missed anything, but I think I've...
Gary, tell us about your little experience in the airplane with your past.
I was hoping to skip this one, but they brought it up. On the way back from Durango, we went down to Albuquerque, which was actually really cool because that's where Breaking Bad was filmed. And then we flew from Albuquerque to Durango, and our plane was an hour and a half late, so we ended up having an 18-minute layover, so we had to sprint from one end of the concourse all the way down to the other. And we almost missed our flight because of that, and we ended up having 3 minutes to spare. But when I got down all the way to the other end, I realized I'd left my passport in the plane because I put it in a really safe pocket, the little pocket right in front of you, which I now know not to do. Everyone's telling me that. So, everyone except me and Virgil went on the plane, and they told us the plane that I left the passport on would leave at 8 p.m. So we ran all the way back to try to catch it, but it had already left. So me and Virgil ended up staying for another 8 hours, and really props to this family for not getting really mad at me, because I would have got really mad at me. Can we just change this picture? Sorry. But yeah, that was a really interesting experience, I think, and it ended up, for that 8 hours we waited there, that plane had flown all the way to Colorado Springs and back again. So I ended up getting my passport back, which is really lucky, because I think Michelle was planning an emergency trip to the Australian Embassy in Chicago at that point. That was fun, and I think Robert's got a story about geography.
So, throughout the whole year, we've been poking fun at Harry because apparently in Australia, geography is not too big of a subject.
You'd think I'd be good at it because I'm an exchange student, but I ain't.
When he was living with us, Marcos, and I we would play the game Risk, where it had all the countries and you world conquer and everything. And it was probably the second or third day he was with us and we were playing, and he had just gotten the hang of the game, so he had stopped asking all the questions. So he was gonna make his first bold move on his own without asking is this a good move? And he said, okay, I attack Venvaliza. We're like, and what country is Venvaliza, Harry?
Venezuela.
There it is. So, and then a couple months later, it gets way worse. A couple months later, he found out that Vermont is in America, because where did you think?
Canadian.
Yeah. And then he found out that Argentina was what is Argentina? It's a country, not a state.
I thought, can I take this? I thought Argentina was a state in America, and I thought that until about halfway through the year when people started making fun of me for it. And it's even more embarrassing because I'd watch the World Cup and it'd be USA versus Argentina, and I'd just be like, okay, whatever. I just assumed they were versing one of their own states. And
then another fun story about Harry. One of the first times at the Rotary meetings on Mondays here, my mom and I came with him to his second meeting, I think. And on his first meeting, you know how you always have a salad, and then there's a thing that changes, and then there's always rolls and butter, and the butters are in little balls. So he thought those balls were chocolate. So it was right before he was giving his first weekly speech and introducing himself. So he was like, oh, I should eat something. So he popped it in his mouth because he thought it was just a chocolate truffle.
yeah, I was chewing on
He swallowed it. And I don't know if you remember him acting weird or anything during that first speech, but that whole speech he had a mouthful of butter. So even though we make fun of him a lot, he's been a wonderful friend, and I'm glad to see this. It's brought back lots of good memories.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert. One of the other things which he touched on just before, which Bob touched on just before, is I'm bad at losing things. Okay, so I've lost my passport. I've lost my camera 3 times. I lost one camera twice. It's still lost. Michelle doesn't know about that, but now she does. And I bought a smaller camera on the East Coast trip, which I haven't talked about, so I should talk about that. And then I bought the camera and then lost the camera on the East Coast trip and had to get it mailed all the way back to me. I lost one of these shoes. This left shoe has been around a lot. I lost it. I got it shoe shined in New York. I got it lost in New York, and I found it in New York. I left it at an exchange. I left it at some exchange place in Wisconsin, so I had to get it shipped all the way back to me. And one time, me and Robert were driving in a car, and we were messing around, and for some reason, my shoes got in the front seat where Robert was sitting. And I think he opened the door at some point when we were stopped. And then we drove all the way back to our place, and I couldn't find my second shoe, so I had no idea where it was. So we went back, and my shoe was sitting in the middle of the intersection. They went back. I didn't do anything. They went back to pick up my shoe, and it's sitting in the middle of the intersection. So yeah, this is my special shoe, which has been around a lot. Has it been anywhere? Oh, yep. I forgot about this one. I forget why, but me and Robert were going to school sometime. I think Robert had play practice, and on the way there, my shoes were untucked, so untied. So I was going to do something where you kick your shoe forwards and it flies off and hits the person in front of you or something like that. Except I kicked forwards and up, so it went sailing up to the top of the roof. And this is this is like the last day of school, so we don't have anywhere to get it back. So I ended up having to run around and find a janitor who, as soon as I said the story, just started laughing at us. And that janitor had to go find another janitor to go and get it off the roof for us, who was kind of laughing at us the entire way through. So yeah, this shoe has been around a lot. But yeah, does anyone have any questions about my year? I was trying to do the whole truth thing over here.
Harry, I'm sure when you found out you were coming to the United States, you had a lot of ideas about what it was going to be like. What one thing turned out to be the most different than what you thought?
This is a funny story. Before I got here, I had to work out my school stuff with my school principal. And when I got there, and at the end he said, okay, Harry, I want you to be careful because Americans are like really proud people and you don't want to come back being like all full of yourself. And I'm like, okay, sir, whatever. And so I kind of had this premonition before I got here that kind of like that because people have been telling me that and that's like what I was told a lot in Australia. But as soon as I got here, I think I like Americans more than I like Australians because you guys are way more open and warm than anyone else that I've ever met. And maybe he's only met New Yorkers or something like that. I don't know. But people in Minnesota, at least, the Minnesota nice thing, everyone is so much nicer than I thought everyone would be and so welcoming for everything. Which is, yeah, probably the biggest difference I expected.
How many months do you know where your passport is?
I had my passport. I knew where my passport was for the entirety of my first family. I lost it with my second family and then found it again. For the entire trip, I gave it to Shelley to hold, and as soon as she gave it to me, I lost it. On the day we were leaving, on the day before we were leaving for Las Vegas, I didn't know what my passport was.
It was inside a coat jacket he had given.
I gave Robert a coat, and he found it in the pocket while he was walking around, which is really good, because otherwise I would not have been able to make it down to Las Vegas or back to Australia.
Yeah. You've done so much here. When you go back and someone says, well, what was it like? What are you going to tell them in your short elevator speech?
If I skip the whole cold thing, which always comes up, again, going back to the nice thing, I think everyone's so much nicer than everyone I've ever met. But are you talking about the biggest difference or the weirdest thing?
Whatever impressed you while you were here this year.
Probably how big America is. And Australia, I kind of already had an idea of that because Australia is really big, except you've got Australia, and then the middle of Australia is the desert. You only really live on the outskirts because the desert there's nothing. But America, it's huge and it's dense and there's cities everywhere and they're so different. They've got so much different culture in every different city throughout America. And you can just travel anywhere and drive in any direction. And you go to a completely new place, which people all over the world have heard of, and which is one thing I find really amazing. And one thing I've been really lucky, I've been to 27 states this year, which is incredible, and I understand how amazing that is. I'll start wrapping it up, I understand. Should go to the end here, and I should start saying thank you because it's Thanksgiving and that's what we do. And I'd like to thank especially this Rotary here for sponsoring me this year because I really wouldn't be the same without it. And I remember you welcoming me with open arms at the start and putting up with those speeches, which are kind of bad at the beginning, but I am pretty proud of them as I got through them because I became better at public speaking throughout the entire year. So whoever's idea it was, that was great. And I'm really thankful for everything all of you guys have done for me because you really developed me a lot as a person, just being in Rotary and all your beliefs and ideals and how amazing all you guys are. And I've learned to speak to adults and stuff like that. And the Rotary Youth Exchange as a whole, it's something I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. And it's been amazing. And it's probably going to dictate how I grow as a person, how I view the world for my entire life and years to come. So I thank all of you for that. And I give a special thanks to the people in this Rotary Club who helped me become an exchange student and you know who you are, who accepted me into this club. And a big thanks to all my host families who accepted me with welcoming arms and like Bob and Shelley and Virgil and Michelle and Mike and everyone and Nancy. Sorry if I missed someone. But you guys have really been amazing to me and it's probably one of the best parts of the exchange is the family part of it. And so is the friends, but really how close I've got with all my families and everything in the culture. It's been really amazing this year and I can't thank everyone enough for that. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Harry. And as you probably know, it takes a lot of people to make the youth exchange program work. And thank you so much for everybody. I do want to point out Deb Newman, who really has taken this from not having a youth exchange program to making it a reality for our club. So thank you so much, Deb, in bringing that together.
We have sponsored Robert, Harry's brother, and hopefully he'll be able to now, because of our club, go on an exchange starting next year.
So great, thank you so much. So with that, Harry, in appreciation of your speaking presentation today, a donation to End Polio will be made in your name to End Polio Now, which is a signature project of Rotary International. In the early 1980s, there were 400,000 cases of polio in the world each year, and Rotary decided to join with other organizations to lead the eradication of polio in the world. We are so close to eradicating this devastating disease. In 2015, we have had 57 cases, which are limited to 2 countries. A year ago, year to date in 2014, there were 305 cases. So we're about 1/6 of the cases this year that there were last year. And it was in 9 countries at this point in time last year, where it's 2 countries this year. So we are moving so great in that. So success over polio will help fuel the energy of what people around the world can do when we work together. And so with that, here is a certificate and here is a End Polio Now pin.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.